There was a time when football believed it had found its next king. A boy from Brazil danced with the ball as if gravity did not exist. Defenders couldn't stop him. Crowds couldn't look away. And the world called him Neymar. But before the lights, before the fame, before the world knew his name, there was a child in the streets of Mogi das Cruzes. A boy who didn't have luxury, but had something far more dangerous for defenders: imagination. He didn't just play football, he expressed it. Every empty street became a stadium. Every wall became an opponent. Every touch of the ball became a promise that something extraordinary was coming. From those streets of Sao Paulo to the grandest stadiums on earth, Neymar wasn't just a footballer. He was football's imagination brought to life. Every touch felt like art. Every dribble felt impossible. Every match felt like a show. At Santos, the world first saw the storm properly form. A skinny teenager, fearless against professionals, humiliating defenders twice his age with flicks, feints, and pure instinct. He didn't just win matches, he made Brazil believe again. He brought back something that felt lost: joy. And then came Europe, Barcelona, a place where legends don't just play, they are forged. Alongside Lionel Messi and Luis Suárez, Neymar became part of one of the most terrifying attacking trios football has ever seen. The world watched defenders break down not from injury, but from exhaustion, helplessness. That team didn't just win, they overwhelmed reality itself. And at the center of it all was Neymar, the creator, the spark, the chaos, the genius who refused to be predictable. He lifted the UEFA Champions League. He won the treble. And in that moment, felt like the football world had officially arrived at his era. But greatness has a price. And Neymar's price was expectation. In 2017, he made a decision that shook football to its core. Paris Saint-Germain, a world record transfer. A statement that he was no longer living in anyone's shadow, not even Messi's. It wasn't just a transfer, it was a declaration. But pressure changes everything. In Paris, Neymar was not just a footballer anymore. He became a symbol, a headline, a debate. Every match was judged, every mistake amplified, every success questioned. And still, when he played freely, there was no one like him. No one. But something else began to follow him more closely than defenders ever could. Injuries. The cruel interruption. The repeated silence in a career built on rhythm and flow. Every time Neymar seemed ready to fully take over football, his body stopped him. And yet, even in fragments, he delivered brilliance. Moments that felt like reminders from another universe. A flick, a dribble through 5 players, a pass no one else saw, a goal that didn't just change a scoreboard, but shifted emotion in an entire stadium. For Brazil, he was not just a star, he was hope. At the World Cup stage, the weight of a nation sat on his shoulders. In 2014, at home soil, that dream collapsed in devastating fashion. The night Brazil fell 7-1 was not just a defeat, it was a national wound. And Neymar, injured and watching, could only witness the breaking of a dream he was meant to carry. Years passed. He returned. He fought again. Russia 2018 brought expectation. Qatar 2022 brought one more chance at immortality. But football, as it often does, refused to complete the story. Still, through it all, Neymar kept producing moments that reminded the world why he was once called the future of football itself. And then came Brazil's history. He became the nation's all-time leading scorer, surpassing legends who once seemed untouchable. A boy from the streets had climbed to the top of an entire footballing nation. But even records cannot silence questions. Because Neymar's story was never just about numbers. It was about emotion, about rhythm, about the kind of football that makes people stand up, even when nothing has been won. Today, when football fans look back at Neymar, they don't just see a superstar. They see two versions of it. One is the player who conquered Europe, who danced past defenders like they were statues, who played football like it was an art form only he fully understood. And the other is the version shaped by injuries, expectations, and moments that slipped away just before becoming eternal. And that is where the question lives. What if the injuries never came? What if the World Cups ended differently? What if the brightest star had been allowed to burn without interruption? Because Neymar was never a failed dream. He was a disrupted masterpiece. A symphony that was sometimes cut mid-note, but still beautiful enough to be remembered forever. In the end, his legacy is not confusion. It is contrast, brilliance and fragility, joy and heartbreak, genius and interruption. And maybe that is why Neymar will always remain unforgettable.